Hi there. It's Dr. Stacy Betancourt with another edition of Making Sense with Dr. Stacy. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about divorce and I did have someone email me in regards to why I focus so much on divorce. Well, that's a great question and I appreciate that email. I focus on divorce because it is kind of my specialization. I can do a lot of other things, and I'm certified in a lot of different things that have to do with the coaching environment. But I like to deal with divorce in the families because it is such a delicate balance, especially if you have children. So, what I'm talking about today is the idea of the emotions associated with divorce. It can, for a lot of people, divorce can represent similar feelings as in a death. Divorce can include feelings of hopelessness, tragedy, mourning, anger, frustration, and yes, in some cases, joy. So let's talk about what those look like. Now, every divorce is different. You can't compare your divorce to a friend's divorce. You can't even compare a divorce that you're going through to perhaps a previous divorce, because some of us are married more than once. Now, the thing is that there is no right way to end a marriage. There are some ways that are better than others, and that's kind of what I want to talk about. In my practice, I have had many different clients in the divorce who are going through divorces, who have just gone through divorce, are getting ready to go there and get the divorce or file for the divorce, or even tell their spouse that they're not into this marriage anymore. One of the most harmful emotions to feel during a divorce is anger. So we're really going to focus on anger. We're going to kind of do this as a little bit of a series and kind of go through the different emotions. So we've got a little bit of a series coming into this. And the idea of anger. There can be many catalysts for why you would have those emotions of anger. And your emotions behind it are not wrong. And I want to make that very clear. You are able and deserving to feel the way you feel. There is nothing wrong with feeling angry. There could be a situation that you didn't even know that this was coming. You could be in a situation where your spouse did something that is the non-negotiable, and we all have those. The non-negotiable, whatever it is, whatever goes against your moral compass, your moral center, if that gets broken, that can be really hard to come back from. So in a case of divorce where anger is involved, I'm going to be honest, you are entitled to the anger and you're entitled to process the anger. But where your division lays is that you have to go through the divorce with an open mind. You have to be able to shelf the anger and process it in your own time and space. And one thing I want to caution you of with anger is that you definitely need to process it. You definitely need to work through it. And you definitely need eventually to let it go. Because anger is an emotion that can truly alter everything about you, in the sense that it not only releases chemicals that can be very damaging to your health that occur in your brain. And as a doctor who studied human behaviors, brain development and activity is one of the things I studied. And when we release anger, those constant adrenaline bursts that can, if they've got no place to go, sure, if you're out there running, like I'm a runner, so I can get rid of those feelings on a great 8-mile run. For some of you, you may need the marathon, but the point of the matter is, all kidding aside, is that emotions of anger are extremely damaging to yourself. Yes, they're unpleasant for others to deal with, but more so, they can be damaging to your health. So if you need help, and I'm going to suggest that if you are harboring emotions of anger toward your spouse or soon to be former spouse, you need help. You absolutely need help in processing those. So if you do need my help, please let me know. I'd be happy to set up meetings with you. But getting to the heart of it, the anger can be triggered from so many different circumstances. Particularly, as I was just saying, if your spouse does something that completely goes against your moral code and your moral center, those feelings are validated. They're valid, but it's how you deal with them. Because when you are in the center of a divorce or any stage truly in a divorce, anger is not going to serve you. It just isn't. So getting through those emotions may take some real processing time. So how do you deal with it? How do you get to the divorce? It's like, okay, I get this, Dr. Stacy, I get it. But what am I supposed to do? I'm angry. I'm so angry. Well, it's simple and hard at the same time. You have to be able to step away, give yourself those timeouts as you need them, and being able to process the why. Okay. We hear this all the time. What's your why? Well, the whys are super important. And in this situation where you are angry and you are in the process of a divorce, no matter what stage you're at, understanding the why is pivotal. Because if you can understand the why, then you can begin to move past it. And it's shocking, it's hurtful, it's all of these things. And I'm talking about the worst case scenario. And through the series, I will talk about the different emotions that come up. So we tackle anger today, and the idea that anger is the strongest emotion that you can feel in a divorce, because you can manifest it in words such as, I hate him or her. I hate what they did. And that, again, that psychological pull in using that negative language, it can get a lot worse. And I've heard things from clients that, of course, I can't divulge, but that anger becomes an anchor that traps you. And being effective in the divorce, no matter what occurs, no matter what mediation you get, no matter what intervention you receive, if you can't let go of the anger, it is not going to be effective, and it's going to get a whole lot worse before it gets better. So your best bet in cases of anger, and truly, while this is focused on marriage and divorce, this can apply to anything in your life, anywhere in your life. Anger is a very self-damaging emotion. So what you have to do is to be willing to process these triggers, whatever it is, worst case scenario, whatever it is a damage to your moral center and your moral code. That's what triggers the anger. And no matter what it is, you have got to look at the fact that what can you personally control? And what is legitimately out of your control? For example, in the case of a marriage, let's say a spouse cheats. They choose another path. right, wrong, or indifferent. They choose another path. What if that is your absolute central and it goes against that central of your moral code? So you're angry, you're hurt, you're frustrated. There's all these emotions going on, but the anger is the most serious. How do you work past the anger? And again, I'm going to suggest that in some cases, there really is no other way than to get help from somebody, a coach, or if you work with a therapist. But what you need to be able to do is take that big picture, break it up into smaller portions, and begin to separate yourself from the emotion. And that's hard. I want you to think back to sometime in your childhood where you got into the biggest trouble that you ever could have imagined. Now, whatever consequence you received, the hurt and the shame that you did that came with the action, and how you wish that you could take it back. The same applies with anger. Just kind of go with me on this. The idea of the anger is that it will consume you. It will become your center. It will become your focus. So that anytime you think of that person, the emotions of anger come back. Does that make sense? It should. And if you disagree, put them in the comments. Let's talk about it. Because the idea of anger, it's such a powerful emotion. It can make you do things that you wouldn't do when you're calm and rational. So how do you go through a divorce where you're angry? How do you deal as a person? What if you work for somebody that just goes against everything you stand for? And you begin to get angry. How do you learn to take that big picture of anger, break it down into manageable components, and then get rid of it? Because once you process anger and you really get to the heart of it, and you're able to look at it objectively, whatever your trigger was, whatever happened, whether in a marriage or not a marriage, whatever happened that brought you to the point of anger, you have got to break it down. You have got to realize, and you've got to weed out what's not yours to hold on to. When someone makes you angry, it can be for a lot of reasons. They didn't mean to. They didn't know your trigger. They went too far, or they're doing it to control you. And if they're doing it to control you or to purposely cause you hurt, nothing in this world is going to change that. I once had a person that I had to work with tell me, I don't know why, but I don't like you. And I've decided that I'm going to make your life hell. Well, first of all, in that situation, they're not okay. Both emotionally, mentally, people like that are not okay. There is something definitely wrong with them. And no matter what I did in that situation, no matter what anyone can do in that situation, is nothing. It is literally their problem, and they want to control. And there is nothing that you can do to change that. So you have a choice. In a workplace situation, you either decide that, you know what, this is not, if this behavior is acceptable in this work environment, then this is not the work environment for me. If it is a situation where you've worked there a long time, this person's new, this is definitely something that you have to come forward and receive help with. Most times it's done through your human resources or your direct superior. This is the kind of thing that can really make matters difficult, if there truly is no legitimate reason for this kind of behavior, then things have got to change. And if you're in that situation, please, I've had experience in it. I've also studied it. After everything that's happened, I studied it. Please let me know, and I can definitely try and give you some tools to help you, because sometimes we don't like conflict. I'm one that doesn't enjoy conflict, but there's times, no matter what, I have got to be in a conflict situation. It's just the way life goes. So in a marriage, when you are harboring those feelings of anger, learning how to process them, again, take it in small increments. Try to understand what it is that sparks the anger. You have to begin to look at it as an abstract piece. It's got to be outside of yourself. Okay. So you've got to be able to take that inner emotion, that inner anger. You need to bring it out, not physically, but visualize that anger. Visualize this as your anger. Take a ball, take a miniature Rubik's Cube that I can only solve one side. I don't care what it is. Visualize it outside of yourself. And this may be hard for some people, but when you can visualize the anger outside of yourself, you are separating yourself from the emotion. When you can separate yourself from the emotion, you are able to look at it in an abstract way that helps you to be your better self. It helps you to process. It helps you to realize what you can and can't control. It helps you to realize that the anger doesn't have a hold on you, which means if there's a catalyst in this, they don't have a hold on you. If they don't have a hold on you, things get a lot easier. So I'm going to leave you at that. That's a lot to think about. This is a lot to think about. Please, if you have any questions, any comments, any direction, any directives, if you need help, if you need anything, please comment below. Go onto my website, which I always put a link down below. Email me, let me know what you need, and I'll be happy to talk to you about it. So for now, on this beautiful spring day where I'm living, and it happens to be Easter Sunday, I wish you all the best. I hope that you're doing well. If you are harboring feelings and emotions of anger, consider my words. And if you need help, again, I'm here for you. And be good to each other. Be good to yourself. You can't be good to others if you can't be good to yourself. So be good to yourself and have a great week and be kind. And I will see you next time. This is Dr. Stacey Betancourt with Making Sense with Dr. Stacey. Take care.